Welcome back. We're taking your viewer submitted questions. Today, this one comes from Alex. Alex asks us, how does marital or spousal privilege work in a self-defense scenario? How might that play out? Great question, Alex. Happy to get it. So here's a couple things that we need to kind of first establish, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about how does spousal privilege work. Now, you know what I'm going to say first, right? I'll pause so you can type it out. Check your local listings. That's right, all right? So congratulations to everybody who just kind of said that out loud to themselves or maybe typed it in the comment field or something. Check your local listings because, again, these laws may vary with place and time, all right? Generally speaking, something to be mindful of, and let's back this up. So what is spousal privilege? Spousal privilege is basically a privilege that the law recognizes whereby private communications between spouses are not allowed to be introduced into evidence in court, okay? Now, there's exceptions to all of these things, all right? But I really want to focus on private communication, all right? So let's go to our self-defense shoot and kind of talk this out. There's somebody who breaks in your house, they have a weapon, and it's black and white. It was a good shoot, okay? And your spouse comes out there. You're the shooter. Your spouse comes out there, blurts something out to law enforcement, okay? We might call that a spontaneous utterance or an excited utterance, depending upon what the status of evidence laws in your particular state. But an excited utterance will probably wind up coming into evidence. Likewise, if the spouse gives a full statement about everything that they saw, that can all come into evidence. Those are not private communications between spouses. Now, let's say something happened, the shoot happened, and then there was a private conversation between the spouses at that point. Should that come into evidence? Or can you, if God forbid, if you're charged from this, can you basically raise an objection to it? Well, number one, I just want to introduce the concept that maybe you don't want to raise an objection to it. Maybe there's nothing particularly controversial. Maybe it's exculpatory in nature. In other words, maybe it actually assists in the defense. It's pro-defense evidence. Again, in this shoot I'm talking about, virtually everything's pro-defense, and very likely this is not what would happen if, God forbid, you were involved in the situation and your case wound up in court. But my point is, number one, just because we can do something in court doesn't mean we ought to do something in court. So maybe it's exculpatory, or maybe it lends itself to the theory of the case. If you want to know more about theories of the case and how that works in trials, let me know in the comment field below. But maybe it works for our theory of the case and we don't want to object and we want to come in. Great, fine. Otherwise, you as the defense attorney, or God willing, you're not defending yourself, but you can raise an objection basically asserting spousal privilege. There's a chance that something like this was probably litigated in what's called a motion in limine or something like that well in advance of the trial to set the bounds of, okay, judge, here's the evidence that we think the state's going to try to introduce. We want to get a clear pretrial ruling saying you're not allowed to go into this. Now keep in mind, if you do go into it, maybe if you decide to take the stand to testify in your own defense, that might be construed as a waiver of that privilege. And there's a number of different ways you can actually waive that privilege. So if you go out and if you restate the entire conversation to detectives, potentially under the laws of your state, check your local listings, that could also constitute a waiver. But a spouse is going to be allowed to testify about what they saw, what they told law enforcement, and so forth. We're really just looking at the private communications between spouses there, okay? I appreciate the question, Alex. If there's anything else you want to see on that, let me know. Of course, comment below if you want to have any of your questions answered and all of the YouTube stuff. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. We'll see you in the next one, guys.